I'm staring at my phone in a corporate bathroom stall, reading an email I never wrote, sent from my account, calling a client a liability in heels. My hands are shaking, not from fear, from rage, because I know exactly who did this. Marjorie's heels are still clicking outside that door, and Mama just texted, "Let Marjorie handle it." Handle what? My assassination? I press my back against the cold metal divider, forcing my breathing to slow, counting to 6 like my therapist taught me back when I thought anxiety was my biggest problem. The fluorescent light above me buzzed like it was mocking me, casting everything in that harsh corporate white that made even Mercy look sterile. Outside I could hear the muffled sounds of the office. Phones ringing, keyboards clicking, someone laughing at something that probably wasn't funny, and underneath it all, those heels, Marjorie's signature Louboutins that Daddy bought her when she made senior VP. My sister knew I was in here, knew I'd found it, and she was waiting like a cat outside a mouse hole. The email sat on my screen, timestamp from this morning, my name, my signature, my professional headshot, all weaponized against me with surgical precision. A liability in heels, unprofessional, emotionally volatile, not partnership material. The client was Meridian Tech, the same account I'd been courting for 8 months, the same CEO who told me 2 weeks ago over lunch at Busy Bee Cafe that my pitch was the most innovative thing he'd seen all year. But to understand how I ended up locked in this bathroom stall at Aventis Logic's Buckhead office, reading my own professional obituary, we have to go back 9 months. Back to a Sunday morning in March when I made the mistake of telling my sister the truth. We were at Slutty Vegan on Edgewood, waiting in that long-ass line that wrapped around the corner, because Marjorie insisted we do brunch somewhere culturally relevant for her Instagram. She ordered the menage a trois, I got the one-night stand, and we sat outside under an umbrella while she adjusted her oversized Chanel sunglasses and pretended to care about my life. "So I'm applying to Aventis," I told her, watching her face for any flicker of reaction. She took a delicate bite of her burger, chewed slowly, dabbed her lips with a napkin like we were at the sundial, and not eating vegan junk food on metal chairs. "Aventis," she repeated, not a question, just letting the word sit there. "That's ambitious." "I've been freelancing for 6 years, Marge," I said, trying to keep the defensive edge out of my voice. "I'm ready." She smiled then, that smile I knew too well, the one she used in family photos and client meetings, the one that never reached her eyes. "Corporate culture can be competitive, sis," she said, sipping her overpriced green smoothie. "Just make sure you're ready for that." I should have heard the warning in her tone, should have recognized the calculation behind those designer frames. But back then, I still believed blood meant something. 3 weeks after that brunch, I submitted my application to Aventis through their online portal, polished resume, killer cover letter, portfolio that showcased every successful data migration project I'd solo piloted from my West End apartment. I'd spent 7 years building my reputation one contract at a time, teaching myself SQL and Python through YouTube tutorials at 3 in the morning, because I couldn't afford the boot camps my sister's firm paid for. By the time I hit submit, I'd already mentally rehearsed my interview answers, picked out my blazer, the navy one from Nordstrom rack that made me look like I belonged in rooms I'd been locked out of my whole life, and practiced my corporate voice, the one without any Atlanta drawl, the one that code switched so smooth you'd never know I grew up saying y'all and finna. 2 months of silence followed. No confirmation email, no phone screen, nothing. I checked my spam folder daily, refreshed my inbox like it owed me money, even called the main line twice only to be told they'd reach out if there's a fit. Meanwhile, Marjorie posted photos from Aventis's executive retreat in Savannah, her and the leadership team toasting with champagne on some rooftop that probably cost more per night than my rent. I texted her, "Did you put in a good word for me?" 3 hours later. "Been swamped, babe, but I'll check." She never checked. What she did do, what I wouldn't discover until much later, was log into the HR database using her admin credentials and add a single line to my candidate file under internal notes. "Applicant has history of project abandonment and interpersonal conflicts. Recommend cautious evaluation." Then in early June I got the call. A recruiter, chipper voice, too much enthusiasm for a Monday morning, informing me I'd been selected for a special cohort interview process. My heart damn near exploded. I called Mama first and she said what she always said, "God is good, baby, make sure you iron that blouse." I called my best friend Nia second, and she screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. I didn't call Marjorie. Something in my spirit told me not to, that same instinct Big Mama used to talk about when she'd say, "Baby, when the hair on your neck stand up, you listen." The interview was scheduled for a Friday afternoon, and I showed up 33 minutes early, resume printed on expensive paper, shoes polished till they reflected the fluorescent lights, edges laid so smooth they could cut glass. The lobby of Aventus Logic smelled like expensive cologne and ambition, all chrome and marble and digital screens flashing company slogans about innovation and integrity. I gave my name to the receptionist, a young black girl with box braids and perfect eyeliner who looked at her screen, frowned, then looked at me like I'd made a mistake just by existing. "You're not on the list," she said. My stomach dropped. "I have the confirmation email," I insisted, pulling out my phone. She sighed, clicked her mouse a few times, then waved me toward the waiting area like I was an inconvenience. "Just wait over there." That's when I saw her walk in. Marjorie, in a tailored burgundy pantsuit that probably cost 3 months of my grocery budget. Navy heels clicking across that marble like she owned every inch of it. Our eyes met for half a second, and I waited for acknowledgement, a nod, a smile, something. She turned away. The interview itself was a massacre. I was placed in a glass conference room with 5 panelists, including Marjorie, who sat at the far end sipping from a matte black mug and pretending I was a stranger. My chair was positioned slightly outside the circle, just enough to feel like an afterthought, and when I tried to adjust it, the legs screeched across the floor so loud every head turned. Marjorie didn't. The technical assessment came next, 15 brutal minutes of systems architecture problems I solved faster than anyone else in that room. I knew this material had lived it, breathed it, built entire platforms on these principles while my competitors were still Googling syntax. I finished with a minute to spare and slid my packet forward, confident, steady, ready. Greg, the panelist with slicked back hair and a tie too loud for his age, picked it up, flipped through it without reading a single word, then smiled. "Great handwriting," he said, then tore the entire packet in half, slow and deliberate, page by page, before dropping it into the trash. My breath caught in my throat, not from shock, from recognition. I'd seen this before, back in middle school when my name was left off the honor roll on purpose and I had to stand in front of the principal explaining why I deserved to be there. That same cold knot formed in my stomach, the one that whispered, "They were never going to let you win." Marjorie sipped her coffee, legs crossed, victory already written across her face. But the worst came after. I'd excused myself, needing air, needing space, needing anything but that room, and locked myself in the bathroom where the scent of lavender air freshener couldn't quite mask the bleach underneath. That's when my phone buzzed. An email from Bell, a vendor I'd worked with on a small nonprofit project, forwarded with a single line. "Not sure what's happening, but you need to see this." The forwarded message looked like it came from me, same signature, same format, subject line, "Client liability, not worth our time." I read it once, then twice, then a third time, each word burning itself into my brain. She's a walking liability in heels. This entire initiative reeks of desperation, not partnership material. My hands started shaking, not from fear, from a rage so pure it felt like clarity. I checked my sent folder, nothing. No drafts, no trace, because I'd never written it. Someone else had, someone with access to my credentials, my format, my professional identity. And outside that bathroom door, those heels were still clicking, patient, predatory, waiting for me to break. Then Mama's text arrived. "Don't fight this, just stay calm. Let Marjorie handle it." That's when I understood. This wasn't sabotage. This was a family tradition, and I'd been cast as the sacrifice. I stayed in that stall for 6 more minutes, not hiding, planning. My sister thought she'd cornered me, thought the forged email and the public humiliation would send me running back to my freelance obscurity where I belonged. But she'd made one critical mistake. She'd underestimated how many receipts I kept. I pulled up my encrypted cloud storage, the one I use for all client contracts and correspondence, and found what I needed: the original email thread with Meridian Tech CEO, timestamps, IP logs, metadata that proved every authentic communication I'd ever sent. Then I opened a separate folder I'd been building for 8 months, ever since that brunch when my instincts first whispered danger. Screenshots of Marjorie's social media posts where she'd accidentally shared internal Aventus strategies that coincidentally tanked 2 competitors I'd been courting. Calendar invites showing she'd scheduled her executive retreat, the exact weekend I'd told her I was meeting with potential investors. And the crown jewel, a recording from 4 years ago when she'd called me drunk after her divorce, sobbing about how she'd stolen my pitch deck for her boutique firm's survival presentation, how Daddy never would have been proud if she hadn't borrowed my work. I'd kept it, not for revenge, for insurance. Big Mama used to say, "Baby, when somebody show you who they are, you write it down." I walked out of that bathroom with my shoulders back, heels clicking with the same authority Marjorie thought she'd copyrighted, and headed straight back to that glass conference room where the panel was wrapping up. I didn't knock. "Excuse me," I said, voice steady, corporate cold. "Before you finalize anything, I need you to review this." I placed my phone on the table, screen facing up, showing the metadata comparison between the forged email and my legitimate correspondence. "That email you received wasn't sent from my device. It originated from an admin login inside this building, timestamp 9:16 a.m. 2 days ago. IP address assigned to the senior VP suite." Greg's smirk vanished. Marjorie's hand froze mid-sip. "I've already forwarded this to Aventus's legal team and copied your board chair," I continued, letting each word land like a gavel, "along with documentation of 4 other incidents where internal candidate files were tampered with to benefit specific outcomes." The room went silent, the kind of silence that suffocates. Then the door opened and Kienbauer walked in, the firm's president, the man I'd been dating quietly for 11 months, the man who told me to apply in the first place because he believed in my work before he ever believed in us. He placed a folder on the table, didn't look at anyone but me. "IT forensics confirm everything Imani just said," he stated, voice calm, final. "We'll be conducting a full review." Marjorie tried to speak, but for once she had no script. 2 weeks later, they offered me her corner office. I declined. Instead, I took a desk on the 7th floor near the developers and the humming vending machine, where the real work happened, where I could smell cold brew and dry erase markers instead of expensive perfume and desperation. I framed the torn test pages on my corkboard with a note. "This is what reclaiming space looks like." Marjorie's resignation was quiet. No press release, just an internal memo about pursuing other opportunities. Mama called me once asking me to forgive her, to keep the family together. I told her forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and some silences are louder than apologies. I didn't need her corner office or her title. I just needed her to know I was never the one who was small. She was just the one who needed me to be. If these words move something inside you, join the family. Hit subscribe and tell me your city in the comments. I want to see the map light up. You never know who's scrolling through these comments looking for a sign that they're going to be okay. And your voice could be that sign. We tell these stories to build a bridge for the next person to cross. Watch your back, trust your intuition, and never underestimate the weight of the decisions you make today. They matter more than you know. You with me?